Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing another Murder Minute video. So I'm going to start this off with, this video is going to contain discussions of the kidnapping and murder of a young child. Some of those descriptions may be seen as graphic or gruesome. We're also going to be talking about a couple of well-known serial killers that were seen as suspects in this case, and some of those depictions may be seen as graphic or gruesome. If any of those things are triggering to you, you may want to go ahead and click off of this video and click on some of my more milder content located on other areas of my channel. With all of that said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be covering the case of Adam Walsh in a kind of who really killed Adam Walsh scenario. This is a Murder Minute video. Murder Minute is an app that you can get on your phone. I have an Android, I have it downloaded. You can choose how you want your stories delivered. Do you want them with very little details? Do you want the full story? And you will get however you want it. Each different story is written and delivered by a different author of sorts, and so each day for free you get one story, and you can choose an option to upgrade to a premium subscription, which costs money per month or per week, and you get 2 stories per day. With all of that said, let's get into today's story. Now, this is a very famous story. I remember for most of my childhood this was an unsolved case. It sparked not only changes in the way cases were handled, but it even sparked a world famous TV show. So Adam Walsh's case, like the kidnapping, the murder, everything took the nation by storm, and it changed how cases were handled. So here's a picture of Adam at the age of which he was murdered. Okay, so let's get into the story. On July 27th, 1981, just around noon, Adam and his mother, pictured here, entered a Sears department store at the Hollywood Mall in Hollywood, Florida. Here is the picture of the store at that time in Florida. Now, I'm not sure how to say Mrs. Walsh's first name, so I'm just going to refer to her as Mrs. Walsh. Let Adam play at a video game section while she was requesting information on a lamp in the store. So here is a picture of that video game display. While at the video game section, several older boys were playing an Atari 2600. Now, for you younger kids watching this video, this is a picture of an Atari 2600. It does predate the Nintendo, so this is technically the first game system that you could have in your home. The older boys were playing the video game, and argument broke out. This argument attracted the attention of the security guard, who asked the boys if their parents were in the store. The older boys all answered no and were told to leave the store. The security guard assumed that young Adam was along with the older boys and escorted him out of the store with said older boys. Once outside of the store, the older boys went along their way and Adam was left alone. But back in the store, Mrs. Walsh returned to the game display and could not locate Adam. The store manager told Mrs. Walsh about the argument, and Mrs. Walsh paged Adam over the store paging system. But Adam did not make contact with her. So then Mrs. Walsh started searching the store. During her search, she ran into Adam's grandmother, who had heard Adam's name go out across the speaker system and had also been searching the store for Adam. They both continued to search the store and were unable to locate Adam. Mrs. Walsh and Adam's grandmother, Jean, searched for an hour and a half. When they were unable to locate Adam, they called police to file a report. This turned into a 4-day search that included 24 officers and helicopters all around the mall, and this is news coverage of Adam's disappearance. However, in those 4 days, there was no evidence of Adam to be found. 2 days into Adam being missing, Adam's parents contacted a psychic by the name of Mickey Dawn. Now, while Mickey was not the last psychic that they would talk to, she was the first. She actually went to the Sears store and touched the Atari display that Adam had been playing at the store, and stated that Adam was, quote, scared, but okay. The police and Adam's parents believed Adam had been kidnapped, and this is the news coverage of that. Adam's parents went as far as to leave their car in the parking lot of the store with a note for Adam that if he were to return, to wait at the car. This picture does not actually, you can't actually read the note, but this is a picture showing where they had taped the note inside the window for Adam. Four days after Adam's disappearance, his parents offered a cash reward for anyone who could provide information that would lead to his safe return. On August 1st of 1981, a grandmother and her 2 grandchildren came forward saying that they'd seen a blue van chasing a boy that matched Adam's description on the day that he disappeared, and here is a picture of a van that they described. The police took this information public for everyone to be on the lookout for a blue van. This resulted in over 100 blue vans in Florida being searched and no results. Adam's parents even printed up flyers with a message to Adam's kidnappers stating that they were willing to negotiate a ransom. They even stated that they would not prosecute the kidnappers with the statement, "Do not fear revenge." At one point, John Walsh told reporters that he and his wife had met with 15 clairvoyants and 13 of them believed Adam was still alive. Adam and Mrs. Walsh went on television to plead for their child's safe return, and they even returned to the Sears store and circulated pictures of Adam in hope of new witnesses coming forward. And here's a picture of that. Police searched nearby canals and swamps for Adam's body, but nothing was found. On August 10th of 1981, two fishermen discovered the severed head of a young boy in a drainage canal. This discovery happened in Vero Beach, Florida, that was approximately 130 miles from where Adam went missing. Police were notified at approximately 7:30 p.m. that night, and they began working to identify the remains through dental records. On August 11th of 1981, John and his wife were interviewed on Good Morning America. Here is a picture of that interview. During this interview, they spoke about being hopeful of finding their son alive and offered $100,000 to anyone who could bring Adam home safely. Shortly after the interview, the Walshes were notified of the head that was found in Vero Canal, and they were told that it belonged to their son Adam. Forensics determined that Adam had died several days before he was found. They also determined that Adam had died from his asphyxiation. Sorry, cannot say that word properly sometimes. Obviously, the Walshes were upset. They were upset, and they believed that the police should have taken the case more seriously. So the next 3 slides are news coverage of them finding Adam's head, of the Walshes, and of the Walshes' grief turning to anger in this case. In October of 1983, now to give you some perspective, at this time I would have been 6 months old, Otis Elwood Toole, who may sound familiar to those of you that do read a lot of serial killer novels or things of that sort. He is a serial killer, came forward and confessed to killing Adam Walsh while he was incarcerated on another crime. He was incarcerated on an arson when he confessed to Adam Walsh's murder. So here's a picture of Otis Toole. Now, this is where the story kind of gets a little crazy. Well, crazier. At first, Toole claimed that he committed the crime with his partner in crime, Henry Lee Lucas. Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole are a serial killer partnership. They did a lot of murders together. So this is a picture of Toole and Lucas together. However, this confession turned out to be false because at the time that Adam went missing, Lucas was serving time in Virginia, so he could not be in Florida to kidnap and kill Adam. So Toole then changed his story and said that he had killed Adam all on his own. Toole then gave police a location where they could find the rest of Adam's body. However, there was no body. With more changes to his story and nobody to tie him to the crime, prosecutors didn't charge Toole with the death of Adam Walsh. For the rest of his life, Toole would confess, recant, and confess again to Walsh's death. Toole even went so far as to write the Walshes from prison requesting $5,000 in exchange for the location of their son's body. Here's a news article covering the mystery surrounding Adam and Toole. Now, in 1996, Toole died of cirrhosis of the liver, but before he died, while on his deathbed, he confessed to his niece that he did kill Adam Walsh. Now back to the 80s. John and his wife were frustrated with the investigation. Adam's head was being kept in the morgue due to the fact that the case was still open. So they had no closure. Here is another dig on the family. Now we have even more speculation on Adam's case. So let's cover the issues with Toole. Many thought Toole lied for the fame of the case. Adam's case at this time was a nationwide case. People were talking about it all across the country. On the other hand, evidence that could have linked Toole as the killer went missing while in police custody. So you have him confessing, but then you also have evidence that's gone missing, so you really don't have a clear-cut way of saying, no, he did not do it. Now you have speculation of another serial killer being the one that murdered Adam Walsh. And the only reason why people introduced Jeffrey Dahmer into the whole mix was purely because Jeffrey Dahmer had decapitated some of his victims. That was it. There was never any evidence that Dahmer was even in Florida at the time that Adam went missing. Another thing, if you look back at Dahmer's age range, while yes, there were a couple of younger victims, there were none as young as 6. So it's a toss-up. Because you can even say the same with Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole. but there was no evidence for Dahmer. There was no evidence Dahmer ever left his hunting grounds. Moving on. John decided to turn his anger, grief, and frustration toward helping families that were going through tragedies of their own. And through that, in 1988, America's Most Wanted was born. And for most people, that was like the show to watch. I remember growing up as a kid, watching it every week, and just being in awe at how many cases they solved, how many tips they got. So here is a picture of Adam Walsh as the host of America's Most Wanted. Now, America's Most Wanted features stories of dangerous fugitives that were wanted by law enforcement, as well as missing persons. They would also do stories of bodies that were found that they could not identify, but would give descriptions of clothing or articles that were found with the bodies to help identify the bodies and give families closure. Adam Walsh and America's Most Wanted went on to catch over 1,000 fugitives. But John and Mrs. Walsh still had no answers as to their own son. So they decided to hire a cold case private investigator. And they chose Joe Matthews as the private investigator. One good thing for Matthews was that he had been involved in the original case of Adam's kidnapping. So he was familiar with the details, and he was familiar with the police procedures that were in place at the time. He still had connections at those police precincts and was able to get information. So here's a picture of Joe Matthews. While doing the investigation, Matthews found a roll of film from a crime scene of Toole's car. It was tucked away in a police cabinet and had been overlooked for all of these years. So Matthews took and had the film developed. One of Toole's stories, through his multiple confessions and recants, was that he had thrown Adam's severed head to the rear floorboard of his car and had forgotten about it for a while. He said he eventually just threw the head out of the window, and that's how it ended up at Vero Beach. So Joe Matthews had that film developed, and it showed the bloody outline face in car carpet. And the face was clear. It was so clear that Mrs. Walsh stated a mother knows when she recognized the bloody outline. Due to this discovery, police finally were able to close Adam Walsh's case in 2008 and definitively identify Otis Toole as the murderer of Adam Walsh. And here's a picture of that news coverage. Adam's head was finally released to the family who had it cremated. However, the rest of Adam's body was never located, and those will probably be locked away with the remains of Otis Toole for forever. Now, things about the background of the case throughout the years. The Walshes did move on to have 3 more children in the wake of Adam's kidnapping and murder. But Adam's death did have a major impact on America. In 1983, a movie was made on the case. It was called Adam, His Song Continues, and here is a picture of that movie poster. And the Walshes were also very active with working with missing and exploited children due to their work. In 1984, the U.S. Congress passed the Missing Children's Assistance Act of 1984, and in 2006, the U.S. Congress passed the Adam Walsh Child Protection Safety Act that maintains a national database of convicted child molesters. And even today, 38 years after his death, if a child goes missing in a department store, the alert goes off over the speaker system. That alert is called Code Adam, in memory of Adam Walsh. Okay, guys, that is going to do it for the case of who really killed Adam Walsh. In the end, Otis Toole actually did tell the truth, but due to the fact that he changed, recanted, lied, recanted some more, tried to bribe the family, it was hard to, while he was alive, tie him to the case. Also, with police misplacing property, misplacing evidence, again, it was hard to tie him to the case. Yes, the family has some closure. They do know who killed Adam, and they did get at least his head released so they could have that amount of closure. But they also probably will never find the rest of his body, which does not fully close that wound for them. Otis Toole did die in 1996, and he was never officially charged with the death of Adam Walsh and can never be charged with the death of Adam Walsh. So there's a lot of good and bad with the case, but at least the family knows the truth now. With all of that said, if you like this story, if you like the details, if you like anything about this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe and ring that bell. I do try to do true crime or serial killer related content at least once a week. And in the comment section down below, let me know what you think about this case, how the police handled it, how the Walshes handled it, how any of this could have been handled better, worse, whatever. And in the description box down below, you can find my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and email. If you have any cases you want me to cover, you can reach out to me on any of those platforms, and I will look into it for future content. That's going to do it for this video, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.